like many places, we often find ourselves in the need of providing sound for music or speakers, presenters, that sort of thing, in spaces other than our kind of equipped space that have built-in speakers and soundboards and mixing boards. We need a portable system that we can take outside or to other parts of our buildings or to offsite venues. For a lot of reasons, and what I want to show you today is why we chose a pair of the Alto Professional Trouper self-powered speakers. Now, PA speakers like these will come in a couple of different varieties. There's passive, which require the use of an external amplifier, either an amplifier by itself or a powered soundboard that's going to be both your mixing board and your amplifier together. Or you have powered speakers, which have their own amplifier built in. The Troupers actually have two amplifiers built in. There is a 130 watt amplifier for your kind of bass at mid-range, and then an additional 70 watt amplifier for your kind of upper mid-range and highs. So these are 200 watt speakers each, and that is RMS. Now, you will oftentimes see speakers rated in a couple of different varieties. You will see what's rated as peak power, which is usually a much higher number, and then you'll find RMS power. RMS is what you're really worried about because that really tells you, you know, how loud the speaker is going to be and how much room it can fill on a normal, you know, on a regular basis. In many ways, peak loudness or peak watts on a speaker is like, you know, peak horsepower in your car. It may be great that it has this much horsepower, but it only has that much horsepower at the red line. And how often do you run your car at the red line? Hopefully not very often. It's the same with speakers. Yeah, you can run at that high power, but you don't want to do it for extended periods of time because you're going to damage the speaker. So the RMS is really what you want. And so 200 watts each is actually quite a bit. And we have actually used just these two for a large outdoor events a couple of times now. And they do a remarkably good job doing that. So they come in this convenient form factor. There's handles on the top, which is great. You know, you have to buy the stands separate, but these are kind of standard stands for them. And these are very simple to operate. You can use them just like any other speaker. So if you've got a portable soundboard, you can plug them into those, or you can actually do some rudimentary mixing on these. So I think we're going to need to look around the back of them to really get a sense of what I mean by this. So let's take a look at that. All right, so here we are around the back of our Alto Trouper. And as you can see, there's a lot of actually connections back here to giving you a bunch of different options. Oftentimes on the back of a speaker, you're basically going to see one input for it, or maybe one input and one output. Obviously, these ones you have a lot more choices. So let's just kind of run through them. First, you actually have two line level inputs. You've got, and both of these are combination XLR or quarter inch. So if you've got XLR, which is the circle with the three little pins in it, or if you have quarter inch, which is kind of that fat looking headphone cable looking one, these will actually take either one of those in either input 1 or input 2. You have an XLR out on this, which lets you basically daisy chain these speakers together. So you can have an input running into here. You can then have this XLR output running into the input on your other speaker, whether that's another Trouper or any other powered speaker that can receive XLR input. So that makes it, and you can kind of keep going down the line with that. So you could have not only 2, but you could have 3 or 4, depending on what you need. Oftentimes what we will do is we will have our input running into 1 from the mixing board. We'll have it out to the other speaker, and then sometimes we'll have one out from that other speaker to a smaller speaker that we're using for something like a monitor. But just know you can just daisy chain them on down the line. So you have these two inputs here that are independently controlled here. So you can decide how much of each input you want to have coming out of the speaker. And you can do a little bit of EQing here. You kind of have just a couple. You've got bass and treble. These correspond to the two different amplifiers that are inside this speaker as well. But if you want a little more bass, you can turn that up. If you want a little more treble, you can turn that up. If you're having feedback issues, you can do a little basic EQing. You're not going to be able to do a ton. This isn't a 32 channel EQ, but but you can at least do a little bit and have those independently controlled in the mix. So you can imagine if you are, say, somebody who's just a singer with a guitar, and that's what you got. You got a mic and a guitar, then you can even skip the soundboard altogether if you want to, if you want a very, very portable setup. And you can have, your vocal mic in one, you can have your guitar in the other, and then away you go. Now, this is actually, though, a 3-channel input. So you got channel 1, channel 2, and here in our line is channel 3. So channel 3 does not have XLR or any of that, but what it has is RCA. Right here, left, right, RCA, standard RCA. It's got 1/8 inch. So this is kind of standard, line out. So if you've got, a headphone out or something like that from your iPod or whatever, you can put it right in there. The other trick feature that these have is Bluetooth, and they actually do Bluetooth in a couple of different ways. One is you've got Bluetooth Link that lets you use this like you would any other Bluetooth speaker. So if you've got a backing track that you're singing to, you can have that backing track loaded onto your phone or loaded onto your iPad or something like that, Bluetooth into your speaker, and then you can play your backing track directly from your device, meaning that these can be in front of you, either side of you, wherever you want them to be, and you can be controlling things like your backing track and things like that from your device that you have in front of you, maybe say on a music stand, because they don't have to be physically connected. So you can have your mic, your guitar, and your additional backing track, going in through the Bluetooth, which is great. The other thing that it does in Bluetooth is it actually lets you pair these to each other, again, over Bluetooth. And you can see this one's lit up because I have stereo link on, which means the signal goes into one. So you use one as your signal input, put all your inputs into there, tweak it how you want it, set the levels the way you want it, and then use Bluetooth link, stereo link, to link the other one. And this is a stereo link. So if the signal you have coming in through, again, your iPod or whatever, and anything into track 3 here is in stereo, right? You're actually going to get right channel and left channel as part of that. And what that means is, just from a practical perspective, is you can put one speaker kind of maybe closer to you and have all your cables run into it. The other speaker doesn't need to have any cables running into it except for a power cable. These are powered speakers, thus they need their own power source, so they just plug into a wall outlet like anything else does. But it also means that you can position these in a very, very flexible way, because your second speaker, which is doesn't have the inputs hooked up to it, can really be anywhere you want it to be, within reason. You gotta be within the Bluetooth distance, which is still pretty far. And all it needs is power, because everything else is running into here. So they provide a lot of features for really an inexpensive price. You're gonna spend, right now I think on Amazon, these are about $220 a piece. So between both speakers and the stands, you're into this for less than $500, thereabout. And then you've got enough speaker power to really fill, not just even a small room, but a medium-sized room, or even a decently sized outdoor space along with it. All right, I actually have my phone hooked up, Bluetoothed into the other speaker, and these are linked together. So let's take a minute and listen to how they sound. The Alto Trouper, again, available for about $220 on Amazon or other places. You can buy just one and still have a pretty nice setup, especially for like smaller venues or coffee shop. That's really all you're going to need. If you want to move up to larger venues or you want to do outdoors or whatever, having the pair really does make a lot of sense at that point. And the nice thing is you can buy one now, you can take one, you can buy one later when you need it, whatever it is you need. But having the convenience of the powered speaker, having the built-in built-in 3-channel mixer on the back. Really gives you a lot of flexibility because you can bring out the big mixer if you want to, if you're going to have a lot of stuff going on, or if you just want to keep it simple and grab a couple, SM58 mics and just do something simple and easy. You've got that flexibility too. These are a strong recommendation from us. We've used them well over a year now, and they have never let us down. So I hope you appreciated this review. If you did, please hit like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.